Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, we're about to get this massive blizzard here in the northeastern United States on Tuesday, March 14th, 2017. But fortunately, I have been warned by the peerless Frankie McDonald, so I'll be all right. I'm going to make preparations. You know, doing this series that I've been doing about the Lamentations of Flame Princess OSR games, and especially doing the last video and really kind of synthesizing some stuff, got me thinking quite a bit. I've been reflecting a lot, and so it was it was an instructive series to do for me, if nothing else. It really kind of crystallized a few things for me. It made me understand even more why so many people explored alternate styles of play and wrote different games and looked for different games because for whatever reason, um, the older versions or the existing versions of something like Dungeons and Dragons wasn't doing it for them. And I understood that already, versus in terms of like mechanics or whatever. But it gave me, I could think crystallized it a little bit more for me. There were things that I knew intellectually, but just kind of going over point by point, where that game might be, I guess, falling short for some people in terms of like they wanted it to, they would rather have a game that supported a more storytelling type vibe, and that game wasn't inherently doing it. You could do it, but there wasn't a set of mechanics to support that. Um, and it's like some of the conceits of the game, where the basic thrust was, kills monsters and gain treasure and all that kind of stuff. And instead of house ruling away from it, they decided they wanted to, write or explore different games entirely. And so that's cool. I think my perspective has been a little bit different, just because it never really bothered me, and I always felt free to kind of screw with it. And also, though, I mean, to be quite honest, at the point where I might have decided I want to start doing something else, I got married, and life was very, very, very busy. Even before that, and I discussed in my video response to Same Old G. I started working a lot by the time I was 16, so that I didn't have as much time to play. So, I probably didn't experience that same kind of, feeling that some other people did at that time and didn't explore stuff. So it just kind of, going point by point, it was kind of interesting and instructive for me. Like I said, things I knew intellectually, but really kind of dissecting the game. It also kind of really crystallized and brought home for me the importance of having some kind of session zero, no matter what kind of game you're playing. Just because it's so easy to end up being at loggerheads with, your players as a game master, with your game master, or even if you're a group of players with each other. I've seen it happen many, many times, in my own experiences where people just, a lot of times we didn't have the words for it, but you've got one guy here that's like pretty much a character actor sitting next to another guy who's really just, his whole idea is he wants to be the general and optimize everything. And, you're wondering why these people just, can't we all just get along? Well, it's because nobody really discussed, what kind of play experience we really wanted. And, those are the times where it might be uncomfortable, but you might have to walk away from each other and say, okay, it's clear that we're not really looking for the same thing. And, otherwise you end up with this clash of intentions. And it's important in a game like, these old school games for sure, because, they don't have mechanics that say, well, this is how the game is going to go. It's going to be very narrative, or it's going to be, whatever. This is the kind of we're going to have lots of big time character backstories and story arcs. It doesn't really say that. That's the stuff that you create. So, in any kind of game where it's a little fuzzier, it's probably even more important to have a session zero. It's important no matter what. And the other thing that really kind of got me thinking about it, or it got me thinking of rather, is this kind of weird, I guess, juxtaposition that I've noticed. Oh, my computer wants me to do something. Um, Between people that want to be creative, because we all as gamers, I think, want to be creative. That's part of the whole thing. It's this creative shared narrative. Um, but also the fact that a lot of people want the game to kind of provide the experience for them. And it's this kind of fuzzy line. And I know I'm being too hard on them, but that was just kind of the things I was thinking of back and forth. And you know, to a certain extent, and maybe it's I'm not exactly sure what it is, but sometimes I see people kind of wanting to be. My perception is rather that I see people kind of wanting to be spoon-fed and experience in many different areas of life, not just this one. But probably really that doesn't really upset me, because I understand sometimes I just want to go someplace and I want to strap myself in and have whatever it is I'm involved in kind of give me the experience for me, or do a lot of the work, a lot of the heavy lifting, so to speak. But probably on further reflection, I think what upsets me more is, I'm not really looking down on people for wanting a game that does that. It's when I'm involved in conversations with people. A lot of times they're online. I try to stay out of these as much as I used to now, where people will start disparaging a game, and sometimes they'll start disparaging something like old school games. They'll pick on, my favorite or one of my favorites, and they'll pick on them and they'll get really disparaging about them because they don't mechanically provide experiences, and instead rely on you as a player and you as a game master to create them. And that still bugs me. I get what they're saying. I get that there's better games for a particular experience that you might want. There's a game for everything out there. There really is. There's too many freaking games out there now. And why I say that is I'm having people turn me on to them, and I'm having to look at them and wonder, should I buy this one? Should I play this one? And expanding my shelves of hope and shame. But there's a game for everything out there. But it gets me a little bit irked when people are disparaging of, not just old school games, but any game where they say, well, this just doesn't do what I want it to do, and therefore it's no good, or this just doesn't, that's kind of silly. So I think probably, at the end of the day, that's what really bugs me sometimes. It's not so much that this guy wants to be spoon-fed. That might be my gut level reaction, where I'm being a bit of a curmudgeon. But really, I get upset when people then turn a disdainful eye towards another game that doesn't do that, and describe why it's no good. Or we've grown beyond that to real games now. That's a little too prickly for me. So those are the things I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about a lot of other things too, but that's just some of the stuff that came out of this exercise for me. Been very, very instructive. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. So I encourage you to do something like that with games that you like. Doesn't have to be old school stuff, whatever, and just kind of really take them apart and start to see not only what makes it tick, but what makes you tick. Where's your state of what's your relationship to the role-playing game hobby now? So, challenge you to do that. That's it. Take it easy, kids. Bye.